This is, as all of you know, I will be talking about Sarkej Roza, and my presentation may not be sequence-wise in a timeline. I will not be telling you what happened in 2001, 2002, but it will be more in terms of the strategy that we used and all the events and all the activities that we did under those strategies. So this picture is to give you an overview of the monument. Many of us, when we go to the monument, do not realize the scale of the place. We don't realize that it has a 17-acre lake, and it's actually a group of monuments that came up incrementally, beginning 1446 and right up till 1584, the construction kept happening. And it's a Sufi shrine. That's the gravity and that's the axis around which all the other monuments came up. And it belongs to the Sultanate period of Gujarat. That's the medieval period. And the beauty of the architecture of this time is that it took from the Jain and the Hindu architectures that already existed, and also on that overlay use the principles of Islam, in the sense that the beautification happened through jalis, because Islam would not allow the recreation of any living objects to happen. So that's a general overview. In terms of our first strategy that we used when we started working on Sarkej Roza, was we realized that a lot of people did not know about Sarkej Roza. Even people who had lived here for almost 25-30 years did not know about the monument. So we said, how can we get this back into public memory? So one of the first activities that we did in 2004 was to have a very simple photography exhibition. These were very simple black and white pictures taken by volunteers, and we had this in a gallery in the center of the city, and it received tremendous response. And with that photography exhibition, we also launched what we call the Rediscover Sarkej Roza campaign, so which was a lot of cultural events that took place under that. The other activity that we did as part of bringing Sarkej into public memory was to launch a website, because we realized that we wanted to reach out to a lot of international tourists also who were coming to Ahmedabad and Gujarat but did not know about Sarkej. And So we had this picture that you see is the only one that you could find on the net in 2001 about Sarkej. These were pictures that had been taken in 1905 by an English gentleman, and that was the only thing available on the net. And now if you do a search on Sarkej, it's huge. It's amazing the kind of pictures that people have taken and put up on Flickr and as part of their albums. The other thing also was that we sought to get in a lot of dignitaries, and President APJ Abdul Kalam visited us in 2006, which really brought a lot of attention of a lot of all the government officials and people to, for Sarkej to come into the limelight. The second strategy that we had was to have Sarkej Roza as a cultural resource center. So one of the first events that we did was the violin and cello concert that Pawan has already spoken about, and you will see in this picture here, how it has been lit up. And this was the first time that actually a portion of it was lit up, and people really saw the beauty. And of course, the collaboration was with Allianz. Then we had the Mushaira, which was a national level Mushaira, and this saw a huge amount of public coming in. This event was held right in front of the Queen's Palace, and in 2008 the Sufi festival was conceptualized and commenced, and we had the Whirling Dervish come in from, she was an American but had been trained as a Sufi, and this was one of the big highlights. This program was one of the big highlights because, as you can see, you had people actually experiencing the monument and the performance. Continuing with that, in 2009, in collaboration with the Ahmedabad International Arts Festival and sponsored by DNA, we had a very beautiful amalgamation of 3 different groups. So we had singers from Punjab, we had Parvati Baul, and we had the Manganyas from Rajasthan, who all gave their versions of Sufism. And till date, continuously, the Sufi festival has been happening. So 2012, and now of course tomorrow will be the, I don't know how much. So the third strategy that we had to undertake was, obviously, we had to do a lot of internal changes. A lot of systems had to be set in place. If we wanted tourists coming to Sarkej Roza, we needed our staff to be trained in a manner that they could, attend to the guests. We needed our financial systems to be in order. We needed information to be given out to tourists. So all these were part of the internal changes that had to be set up. Reviving the library was one of them. There's a beautiful collection of history books that's available at the Roza, and we needed to undertake a lot of research on subjects related to the medieval period, to the Roza, to personalities connected to the saint. And one of the major ones was also releasing history books translated in Gujarati, so that more and more people would know about them. Because otherwise the traditional texts are all in Arabic and Farsi. Like I was mentioning, responding to information needs of tourists was one major thing. You can see our earlier versions of where we had just simple photographs on corrugated, and then they have moved into the sunboard form. So a lot of stuff that was printed in terms of the brochures, postcards, route maps, and publications. As far as financial sustainability was concerned, this was a major problem, because any change, anything that we needed to do at the ground level at the Roza, whether it was printing material, whether it was setting up the boards, information boards, we needed money for that. Even to keep the place clean, you needed money. So and the Roza has a little bit of land around which has been given on rent to tenants, but unfortunately the rents coming in were very minimal. I mean, it was ridiculously minimal. So what we had to do was to do a survey of the properties, call people for consultations, and it was through that the rents were raised. And the major hindrance that we came across was that the tenants did not trust the committee. They felt that the committee was eating up the money, and as a result of which nobody was willing to pay their rents. So we set up a team of women rent collectors. So the women were from the locality. They would collect the money. There were transparent systems of receipts, and so anybody having a problem could come and see the documents. And from a monthly rental income of 10,000, now we've gone to 60,000. So a women's team, 4 people were, yeah, that's. So the other major strategy that ACF used was community involvement, because see, all of this would not have been possible without community involvement, and that has been the mainstay for ACF in all its work that it has done in the ROSA. Again, all these activities are not sequential time-wise. They have been done at different points in time. Different strategies have been used at different times. So one of the first ones that were that ACF had commenced an education center in the community, and through activities like tree plantation and training women in livelihoods, these were simple activities that were undertaken to build a relation of trust with them. And apart from the consultative meetings that were held with eminent citizens about the ROSA. As far as community involvement goes, ACF has gone into its next phase of working, where we are just at this juncture where the women are getting trained and are ready to launch their own merchandise line, and we hope that next year we will be able to do a launch. The photographs that you see here are of this lady from the US who is herself an artist and is very well trained in crochet. She did a 10-day workshop with the women living around the ROSA with our community women, and with the help of second year students, an exhibition was held at NIT. The exhibition, of course, was the take that the second year students had about Satkej Rosa, and you see the ASI officials inaugurating the place. And
one of the things I would like to add here is that Sheila Klein, she is the textile designer, an artist based near Seattle. She can work with the women using motifs of the Jali work from the ROSA itself.
yeah.
So that was a major theme, and so how to popularize it. One aspect was to how to create that into a sustainable thing, where these could be exported to people and also to be used by localized good objects of art, which the locals would like to use. And the citizens also like to use.
The other strategy that ACF used was to promote local festivals. Now, these festivals were already on, but in discussions with communities, we realized that arrangements had to be better. And so, say like festivals like Rajab, I don't know whether you have heard, but Rajab is very, very parallel. You can draw great parallels to our Shravan. So every Thursday during the Rajab month, if you go, there are huge number of people who throng the ROSA. And it is said that if you go on all the Thursdays, Mannat Puri ho jati. So it's, and Sandal Urus, which is supposed to be the death anniversary of the Sufi saint, Ramzan of course, and all Thursdays are, are days when the people live. Janmashtami was a very old tradition that was followed at the ROSA. The Sufi saint is supposed to have had a lot of followers from the Hindu community. Makkarbagh, that is the village where the site is located, has people from the Bharwad community living there. This is an old file photograph that we found from one of the donors who gave it to us, and this was in Janmashtami. The women from Makkarbagh would come and actually do a kind of a garba thing in front of the dargah. And so these are pictures of 2005 when we revived Janmashtami, and of course it created a huge So, having spoken about the strategies that ACF has used to be working on the ROSA, I would also like to touch upon the other different partners who have been helpful in working with us. Obviously, the Archaeological Survey of India, because they are responsible for the repair and the maintenance of all the buildings. Nobody but them can do it. And so this is a file photograph of the earthquake when the Baradali, which is the structure right in front of the Dargah, was in complete shambles. It had been affected during the earthquake. And the ASI did an excellent job of, putting this back together, and it's almost as if you can't make out that it was damaged. And of course, also tuning into the idea of using Sarkhej as a cultural center has been a huge turnaround for them to be able to accept it and to have it happen there. The other major partners have been ORDA, and again you can see before and after photographs which we try to put together so that there's a contrast that you can see. At a certain point in time, you could not make out that there was a lake. If you came in from the other side, you couldn't see the lake at all. So with the help of ORDA, encroachments were removed, the gardens along the lake were developed, so it became an open space for citizens and people living around the area, and parking and street light facilities were given. There was a direct approach road that came into the Rosa right from the highway, so one did not have to come in through the village. And yeah, so I mean, this is what it was like. I mean, you can see it covered with babul bushes. It was not possible to even approach the Queen's Palace on foot, because there was, I mean, it was so completely covered. Of course, the contribution of the media, the relentless campaign that was undertaken by the Times of India and DNA that have, at different points in time, that have really helped to get the Rosa into the limelight. That's a file picture of the roundtable conference that was held in 2010, and it brought different people from different walks of life together. So you had people from NIT, SET, IIM, and the Builders Lobby and Heritage, all coming together to discuss what could be done for the Rosa. This was a challenge that we faced right from 2010 to 2013, where due to the pressures of urbanization, the lake went completely dry for 3 years. And there was no way that we could get the water in. The ASI was insistent that water should be brought in only from the ancient channels, and that was like a humongous task. So last year we had a collaboration that happened between ACF, UMC, INTACT, and a stakeholder meeting was held at the Rosa, and we had people from ORDA and AMC and the Sarkhej Rosa Advisory Council that was set up, and of course INTACT was there to discuss how best water could be brought in within the framework that ASI was insisting on. And you see this file photo of, I mean, this is, for me personally, this is like a glorious photo, because it's after 7 years that we saw water coming in like this. And so that's how it looked in summers, again, because it has been dry for so long, the water levels have gone down, but we are hopeful that next year again, through the rainwater, stormwater pipeline that has been set up, we will have water again